Did I scare you? No? Damn it. I was working all week on that one. Hi everybody, my name's King Noosme. There's a couple of things that are instantly recognizable to the Goosebumps brand. Slappy the Dummy, the cover of Welcome to Dead House, the theme song, Jack Black, and of course, Horrorland. One Day at Horrorland is the 8th and 9th episode of the 3rd season, released on November 1st in 1997. It was directed by William Frett, who directed 18 other Goosebumps episodes, including some of the really iconic ones like Werewolf at Fever Swamp, A Night on Terror Tower, Welcome to Dead House, and the Trilogy episodes, and of course, One Day at Horrorland. He, with the writers Billy Brown and Dan Angel, took a different approach in adapting the book into an episode, which was pretty ballsy because this is one of the most loved books in the series. And they made a lot of changes from the story, almost to the point where it's a whole new story. But even though they do that, a lot of people still really liked the changes, and they still made a super entertaining and iconic episode that fans still love to this day. But first, let's have a short history lesson about the impact of Horrorland on the Goosebumps series. One Day at Horrorland is the 16th book Stein wrote for the original Goosebumps series. The book follows the Morris family and a friend named Clay as they try to find their way to a theme park called Zoo Gardens, but they get lost looking for it and stumble upon another theme park called Horrorland. Admission is free at Horrorland, and there's no crowds or wait for the rides. This seems too good to be true, but after the kids Lizzie, Luke, and Clay get lost in a terrifying house of mirrors and have a near-death experience on the Doom Slide, kind of something you'd expect to happen on something called the Doom Slide, they realize that Horrorland is all too real and incredibly dangerous, and they have to find a way to escape. And right before the family is thrown in a pit called, well, the Pit of Death, of course, Lizzie recalls seeing a sign around the park that says, "No pinching." So she disobeys this sign and pinches one of the horrors, which causes it to deflate like a balloon and die. Yes, seriously, the horrors are this easy to kill. Just pinch them. So the family use that to their advantage and murder a bunch of the horrors, steal a bus, and make their escape. One Day at Horrorland was also turned into a comic for the Goosebumps graphics series. It's the first part in the 2007 book Terror Trips, and it does a very good job at adapting the book. So if you're not very good at visualizing books or just like comics, then you should definitely check this one out. This book was one of the scariest and most intense Goosebumps books to come out at the time. And besides the kind of weak ending to the book, it became an instant top 10 Goosebumps book and a must-read if you want to get into the series. Stein had struck gold with his Horrorland book, and it seemed that everybody loved it, so much that they made merch. A lot of merch. There's trading cards, collector's caps, board games, lunchboxes, an electronic pinball game, a handheld game, t-shirts, blankets, toys, pins, staplers, clocks, a pencil sharpener, a pencil sharpener, a pencil sharpener, an arcade claw machine, and of course 2 video games, which we will talk about here in a minute. It's no surprise that One Day at Horrorland is one of R.L. Stein's favorite books, and it was only a matter of time before it got its own episode in the Fox TV series, which we will be breaking down here in a minute. Be patient with me, please. And even getting its own show in 1998 called Goosebumps Horrorland Fright Show at Hollywood Studios in Disney World. Yeah, that's right. It's a bit of a crazy collab, but at the time, Goosebumps was very big, so of course the mouse wanted to get his grubby little hands on it. But besides the show being based in Horrorland, there's sadly no horrors in the show. But it's more of a magic show featuring a mazo and has guest appearances from other popular Goosebumps characters like Slappy the Dummy or Koru the Mummy. And Curly. There was also a walkthrough mirror maze called Horrorland Fright House, but sadly I can't find much information or videos about it online. And also sadly, when Goosebumps sales started to decline and the kids at the park weren't really vibing with the show, so it only lasted for a year before being canceled by Disney, which was pretty sad for Stein, but it didn't stop his love and appreciation for Disney, which is probably why we have a Disney Plus Goosebumps show today. And it definitely didn't stop him from writing a sequel book. In the Goosebumps series 2000, he wrote a sequel book and creatively called it The Return to Horrorland, which he had only done like 8 times before. Despite it being in Series 2000, the book was released in 1999, and the story once again follows Lizzie, Luke, and Clay 6 months after their fun visit to Horrorland. They are now fans of this show called The Strange Report, a show about paranormal things that happen around the world. And also Stein was trying to connect the Goosebumps stories with this book, with Evan Ross from Monster Blood making a cameo in this book and trying to explain how exactly Monster Blood works. And it also looks like the horrors are giving Monster Blood disguised as ice cream on the cover. And of course, us Goosebump-loving hooligans could not get enough of Horrorland. So starting in 2008, he wrote a whole 19-book series to scratch the Horrorland itch. The series is obviously named Goosebumps Horrorland, and all of the books are connected with 2 separate arcs. Stein played around with the idea of having Goosebumps be a shared universe, with the first 10 books of this series telling independent stories, but at the end of the books, the main characters would get an invitation to Horrorland. Then the 11th and 12th book connected and concluded all of the stories. It was also fun seeing some familiar faces appear in the storyline, like Carly Beth and Sabrina from The Haunted Mask, Billy and Sheena Deep from Deep Trouble, and Lizzie and Luke from the original Horrorland books. Man, these kids really cannot escape this place. And of course, you can't have a Goosebumps book series without Slappy making an appearance. The kids have to defeat Karloff the Menace, the owner of Panic Park, in order to escape Horrorland Park. That's gotta be the dumbest name in a Goosebumps book. The Menace? Why? Really, dude? But books 13 through 19 would tackle the second arc of Horrorland, called the Chiller House arc. This arc's main antagonist was Jonathan Chiller, a man who has a gift shop in Horrorland, and he would give the kids from books 13 through 18 these little horror totems, which would usually send them on a small adventure. And when the time comes, Chiller sets up a scavenger hunt and teleports all the kids to his gift shop for the payment, where they have to find the horror totem to be teleported back home. But yeah, that's enough background information. Psych! We have video games to talk about. I promise I'm gonna get to the episode here in a minute. I'm just having fun here. There are actually a good bit of Goosebumps video games, but Horrorland itself actually has 2 different ones. In 1996, there was a PC video game called Escape from Horrorland, which was also used as the name of one of the books that was released 10 years after the game, that acted as a sequel to the first book. It was an interactive story game, kind of like the Telltale games of today. The game has you follow Lizzie as she searches for her brother and Clay and gets stuck back into the terrifying theme park once again, but just a year after the events of the book. But wait, the sequel book took place 6 months after the first book, and this one takes place a year after the first book. Stein really wasn't thinking about the timelines of this, was he? It's a pretty great game, honestly. You solve puzzles and have pretty exciting encounters, like this one from a pretty impressive werewolf for a 1996 PC game. It also has a Jeff Goldblum Dracula, which is an insane thing to think about, but I did not know I needed this. And the horrors in the game's cutscenes actually look really good too. Somehow they look better than the episode's horrors to me, and I don't understand why. The game came out with a great reception and being the 11th most sold game for December that year, and almost won an award for the best adaptation of linear media. But sadly, it lost to I Have No Mouth But I Must Scream, which is also an amazing game, and I highly recommend you play that one. I've played it like 4 times. It's awesome. I love that one. It's a terrifying game, by the way. Horrifying. Love it so much. In 2008, a game simply named Goosebumps Horrorland was released on Wii, Nintendo DS, and PlayStation 2. I actually played this one using GameFly when I was little. The game was a tie-in to the book series I just talked about earlier, but you choose your own character and both you and your friend get a ticket to Horrorland. And you have to, of course, find a way to escape Horrorland. But this time you collect cool cards. Ooh. Fancy. Even with all the stuff that has to do with Horrorland around, they still have been trying to bring it back to our screens for a while, but it never seems to work out. The Goosebumps movie was going to feature a Horrorland setting, but they decided not to do it and have it be the setting for the sequel movie. So in Goosebumps 2015, they hang out in an abandoned theme park, which was supposed to be Horrorland. The second movie was supposed to be called Goosebumps Horrorland, but obviously that didn't happen. The title then changed to Slappy's Revenge and then Slappy's Halloween. But then it was finally announced that the movie would be called Goosebumps Haunted Halloween. And yet again, Horrorland does not make an appearance. And we have all this stuff and they somehow haven't tried to make a season of the new Goosebumps show that is based in Horrorland. Come on, guys, it's right there. There's already a connected story for you. It's so easy, just follow the books. Sure, there was an episode in the first series that's called Welcome to Horrorland, but it was not Horrorland, and it was a boring Spire thing that makes me incredibly angry. Okay, well, I'm done yelling at the camera now. Let's take it back to this guy. Okay, now we can finally get into the iconic episode of the show. Trust me, I could have gone on for much longer about everything, but I might do deeper breakdowns of multiple of the things I just talked about, and I've wasted enough of your time already, so let's quit yapping and get into it. We start this episode in a desolate wasteland as we meet our favorite family, the Morrises. The family are on vacation and are looking for a park called Zoo Gardens, but by the looks of it, they're lost.
No, we're not lost.
Really? Because it seems like you're lost. They probably would have been at the place by now if Mr. Morris would have just asked for directions, but he refuses to because real men don't ask for directions. Am I right, fellas? Do I look cool? I bet I look so cool right now. The kids are starting to get a bit antsy and they start to complain about, well, everything. But Mr. Morris says, according to the map, Zoo Gardens should be right where they are. Did they pick it up and move it or something? Where's it at? I don't see it is it back here? Maybe it's under the sand, kind of like just brushed a little bit around, you know? Since the park obviously isn't right there and everyone is starting to get a bit ornery, there's a big word for you kids, the dad decides to de-escalate the situation by giving a small heartfelt speech and taking off to find the park as a family. Aw, how sweet. They find themselves traveling down some back roads where they run into a sign that is launching balls of fire at them. I'm no expert, but I don't think they should be doing that. Luckily, Mr. Morris swerves and dodges all the flaming balls and stops just before smashing the car into the signs, where a floating monster head slowly inches forward to attack them. Just kidding! I hope. On a real note though, I've always thought this was just a very obvious mask floating towards them, even when I was a kid. But it was so corny and funny that I just kind of let it go, kind of let it slide. Especially when you see the horrors later in the episode, it makes it so obvious that it was just a mask. After the mask, I mean the terrifying demon head disappears, there are some signs that welcome the family to a place called Horrorland. The kids beg to go to Horrorland, and even though their mom is a bit wary of the park, and I can see why, their dad thinks it's a great idea and it would at least get them out of the car for a little while.
I think this will be great. The kids will love it.
What was that about? Do you think I wouldn't see that or something? What the fuck is happening here? They make it to the entrance and all rush their way into the gates. Miss Morris is still uneasy about the whole thing, but Mr. Morris calms her down by telling her that they'll let the kids ride a few rides and then ask for directions to Zoo Gardens and everything will be all peachy keen. But you know what they say about motherly instincts, because as he tells her this, a monstrous hand comes out from the sewer grate and attaches a device that I can only assume is a bomb to the bottom of their car, while the family is distracted by the wonders of Horrorland. The Morrises make their way to the ticket booth and there's no one there.
Welcome to Horrorland.
Oh, never mind. They're greeted by a horror. Mr. Morris tries to give the guy some money for some tickets, but he's a kind guy and he doesn't take the money. He tells the family that they are his guests today and admission is free. And the Morrises ain't gonna turn down free amusement park tickets. I mean, I wouldn't either, honestly, even if it was Horrorland. The family happily walk 3 feet until they are greeted by a less handsome horror, I think. But the horrific costume isn't the scariest part of the scene because he's carrying a head that warns the family.
Stay off the guillotine ride, sharp turns.
Then the horror just says, don't listen to her, she's crazy. What do you mean? I'm gonna listen to the talking head, bro. She seems like she's seen some shit, you know? But the family think it's some kind of trick the park has come up with and they are ready and excited to check out the rest of the amusement park. So they waste no time in running into the park. But quickly before we get into the park, let's talk about the actors in this episode. Lizzie's actor, Heather Brown, was in the Are You Afraid of the Dark episode, The Tale of the Hatching, as Jazz. I just talked about that episode in my last Are You Afraid of the Dark video, so you should go check it out. And Luke's actor, Michael Kalaz, was also in an Are You Afraid of the Dark episode as a ghost in The Tale of the Frozen Ghost. Their dad is played by Jonathan Whitaker, and he is in a whole bunch of stuff. He's had appearances in The Animorphs Show, The X-Files, The Outer Limits, and The PSI Factor, which is all the ones I think my audience would want to hear, but I might be wrong. Their dad lets the kids run off on their own, which was probably a bad idea because now they're being stalked by a horror hiding in the woods. Fun, that's awesome. And they must be pumping laughing gas in the air because something is funny to these two. They're just laughing. For no reason. I can only imagine the director was like, yeah, we need like 4 more seconds of footage, so kind of just like walk around and giggle a little bit. But while they're distracted, a horror sneaks up on them. But he's not there to eat them, rather he warns them to leave the park while they still can. And then he takes off back into the woods. That was weird. This understandably freaks the two out, but Lizzie convinces her little brother that it was just some theme park immersion because they're supposed to be scared. I mean, the place is called Horrorland. And they happily move on to the House of Mirrors. But before they go in, a horror that forgot to paint his hands and feet blue tell them to reflect before they enter because no one may ever see them again. While in the house, they have some fun looking at goofy reflections of themselves when Luke thinks it's a great idea to hide from his sister. Little does he know how bad of an idea that will be.
Luke!
I still don't know why she did that? Doesn't match the vibes of the episode, and it doesn't come up ever again. While looking for her brother, they both get trapped in these rooms with repeating checkered floors and mirrors surrounding them. Both of them begin to panic, trying to find an exit, but it's impossible. Everything looks the same. And just as their panic has peaked, a red devilish horror stalks Lizzie from behind. He leaps out of the mirror and attacks Lizzie. Kinda. He actually just jumps out of the mirror, scares her, and then retreats back into the mirror. But that's when the walls start to slowly close in on her, getting closer and closer until she has barely enough room to move. Luckily, just before she is crushed, the floor opens up underneath her and she falls into a deep abyss. And I'm gonna ruin your immersion right now to tell you a quick fun fact. They actually reused the red mask and some of the horror hands in the episode Deep Trouble. I think I mentioned it when I talked about it, but I just want to reiterate that just in case you forgot. Or you haven't seen that episode. Why haven't you seen that episode? Why haven't you watched that one? It's a Goosebumps one. You obviously like Goosebumps, you're watching this. Why haven't you seen that? All right, I'm watching you. While their kids are dying in the mirror house, the parents are just having a nice day at the park. They do find it odd that there doesn't seem to be anybody walking around, and they are feeling a bit peckish, so they go over to the nearest concession stand for a snack. Maybe they'll order some finger fries, possibly some crunchy cockroach, maybe even an order of toenail tacos. Sadly, they just settle with some Monster Punch. Is that coming out of his finger? What the fuck? That is a Scary Movie ass scene. Wait, this came out before Scary Movie. Did Scary Movie copy Goosebumps? Exposed. Miss Morris is starting to get a bit worried about their kids, and the concession stand horror's reaction doesn't really help her situation.
Kids?
Calm down, Epstein. Jesus Christ. Maybe we should get a background check on this guy. But back at the mirror house, Lizzie lands in what I can assume is the exit to the mirror house.
Did you enjoy the House of Mirrors?
No. That was terrifying. Honestly, that scene was probably in the top 10 scariest Goosebumps scenes for me as a kid. It felt like a panic attack, literally. Like the walls just slowly coming in and there's like helpless, there's nothing you can do, you're gonna die. I hated it. I hated it so much. It scared me so bad. And Lizzie agrees with me, but Luke feels quite the opposite. He is so excited that he actually convinces, with a little blackmail, his sister to go on another ride. Luckily for her, it's just a ride called the Coffin Cruise. And it says it's relaxing, so it must be right. I mean, the horrors wouldn't lie to us. Maybe they would lie to us. While the kids get on the Coffin Cruise, their parents watch as another family is forced into a building against their will. And once again, only Miss Morris sees an issue with this. But Mr. Morris does check it out, and he checks the door to hear laughter and applause on the other side.
You're getting a little paranoid.
Another fun fact about this scene, you can see a sign directing people to different rides in the park. And they do have a sign for the Doom Slide that is in the book, but it's omitted from the episode. I do kind of feel like they snuck a little Doom Slide vibes in the mirror house though. Back to the kids, and they literally crawl inside coffins and float down a river. And I don't think this was a set. No, they literally put them in coffins in a stream and float them down the stream a little bit. There was no way this was allowed on set. OSHA not approved, I tell you that. The kids do look like they enjoy it. That is until the coffins close and lock on the kids. Lizzie is pretty claustrophobic and immediately starts freaking out and trying to find a way out. But Luke is enjoying it? That is until... Really, bro? Locked in a casket, slamming into trees and shit all over the river? Cool, great. But one spider shows up and it's game over? Okay, kid. This kid's priorities are all out of whack. And now Luke wants to leave the park. Yeah, not when the walls were about to kill him in the mirror house, but one spider? Oh, that's enough. Time to go home. And to be fair, this scene was really toned down in the show. In the book and comic, the coffin was literally filled with spiders crawling all over the kids. And I understand why a person would be terrified of that, but just one spider that isn't even crawling on you? Not that scary if you ask me. After the coffin ride, the kids are finally done with the park and they go and try to find their parents. They go back the way they came, but things look different this time and they get very lost. As they walk through the woods, many horrors closely follow them to make sure that they don't escape. Luckily, the parents find the kids and they tell the kids that they're going to have to leave now because something doesn't feel right about the place. And the kids do not argue at all. The family make their way to the exit and almost make it out, but the gate is padlocked shut and the sign outside the gate reads, "No exit, no one leaves Horrorland alive." This rightfully scares the kids and pisses the dad off.
You asked me. There's a lawsuit here.
Damn. Bro went straight for a lawsuit. Skipped all the fighting and stuff, just straight to law, straight to the court. As they search for someone to let them out, they get surrounded by multiple horrors who won't let them leave. They inch closer and closer and finally grab the family. Oh, to be continued. Oh, that's a perfect time for an ad break. Too bad I don't have one. So, how are you today? Yeah, that's good. That's good. Really should have written something in the script for. Oh, we're back, thank God. Oh, I'm so bad at improv. Okay, buckle up. This episode is pretty insane. That's all I can say. The horrors surround the Morris family, and of course, Mr. Morris tries to be a tough guy, and he demands that they let him out. And to take off that stupid mask when he talks to him.
Not a mask.
Uh-oh, looks like these are actual monsters and he just pissed them off. Good going, man. The family try and make a run for it and they surprisingly do get away from them by escaping into this door. Sadly, they find themselves on a horror cable channel show called Hidden Camera. I haven't mentioned it, but throughout part 1, there are multiple scenes that show cameras watching the family's every move, as well as some horrors hiding in the trees. And obviously the show Hidden Camera is a parody of the real show Candid Camera. It was a prank show from long ago that had actual funny, innocent pranks and not any of the new pranks like dropping a suitcase in the middle of a crowded area and running away like it's a bomb. I do not miss that part of YouTube. The theater is filled with horrors cheering and clapping for the Morris family. Even this grandma monster is getting excited. Look at her go. The horrors watch a montage of the family being scared while in Horrorland, and of course they cheer and clap and make fun of the family. But luckily the family's torture doesn't last too long and the show ends pretty abruptly. And this horror named Wretch Sniff informs the family that they have been picked to be on a game show. Side note, did no one bother to ask this cameraman to put on the mask for the show? I mean, it looks like this horror broke his neck. The family tell Wretch that they just want to go home.
You can't go home.
Uh-oh.
Because if you do, you will get that new car.
Oh, come on. These guys aren't dumb enough to fall for that.
No, wait. Just, I don't think it would hurt to just play the game.
You have got to be kidding me. The parents' greed forces the family to stay for the game show so that they can get a new SUV. The kids obviously don't like this idea, but to be fair, their car is in rough shape. I mean, they mentioned the air conditioning didn't work and the car barely started, so I can't really blame the parents for being intrigued by a new car. Wretch Sniff sends the family over to the makeup person on set, and she is the best character in the whole episode. Actually, I'm not sure if it's a she. They don't really look like the other girl horrors. Maybe it's an overly flamboyant gay stereotype for a monster. Kind of like Cam in Modern Family. Either way, I love them. They're so energetic and funny, and they sit the family down and offer them some, snacks, and they do some amazing makeup on the family. And by that, I mean they kind of lightly hit them in the face with this fuzzy thing, and then they're done. It turns out that the horrors really aren't that bad after all. They're just like us.
Darling, we're monsters, but we're not monsters.
Back to the show, the family get brought out to do a show called Raw Deal, which seems to be a mixture of Wheel of Fortune and Let's Make a Deal. But you can't have a game show without a beautiful hostess.
Halitosis!
Oh, I'm sure halitosis is a beautiful name in their country, if they're even from a country. Where are these guys from? It turns out that the Morris family will be split up for this game show, which is okay because they're playing for a new car. And if it's their family versus their family, they can't really lose, right?
Mom, how can we lose, dear?
Their dad's so annoying to me. What is this, Home Improvement? As Wretch introduces the family, the kids start to worry about some of the prizes on the wall, like lose a limb, lose your head, or eat worms, which is probably a reference to Go Eat Worms, of course. The rules of the game are kind of simple. First, you pick a card which has a dollar amount on it. Then you say a letter, and if that letter appears on the board, then you get that amount of money. And a chance to solve the puzzle.
I don't get it.
What? Dude, it's literally 2 sentences. Open your ears. It's so easy. The parents go first and they actually do a pretty good job and get most of the board and almost win $1,400. But of course, Mr. Morris fucks it up.
Before the Morris kids get their turn, let's watch this important message. Now, for the first time on one
What the?
CD, greatest
What's this?
monster love song.
A commercial
You'll
break
get Your
inside
Heart
the
Is in My
show? What the hell is going on here? Anyways, we cut back to the game show and it looks like the kids almost got the puzzle solved. They just need the last 3 letters. The kids try to solve the puzzle with
Morris family is lucky.
which is a great guess, but it's not correct.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's wrong.
Womp womp. Sit down, get worms dumped on you. And another scene of the parents being horrible. They don't seem to care at all that their kids are being publicly humiliated because, well, they need that damn car. But luckily for the kids, their mom has already solved the puzzle.
The Morris family is lunch.
No, dummy, it can't be the Morris family is lunch. They already used an H up there.
You're right.
Huh? Well, then you cheated the kids, Wretch. The H was already used in the Morris family. There's an H in the. Why is there no H down here? Am I the only one that's upset about this? Does anybody care about integrity? Maybe it was just a mistake and he'll explain it.
We'll be back. to see if the Morrises drive away in a brand spanking new car after these.
No, not another commercial break. God, Rex thinks he can escape me. I will find you. On a real note, though, these commercials are hilarious. I love them so much. As a kid, I was like, oh my God, not another one of these dumb commercials. But as an adult, I'm like, yes, I love these commercials. We come back from commercial, and all the family has to do is cut this deck of cards to see if they win a car or not. And shockingly, they do. It's great. So great, even Holly is happy for them. Oh God, in front of his wife and kids too. Ooh, that's definitely going on the papers in divorce court. Yep, that's for sure going on the papers. But wait, they don't have a car just yet. First, they have to choose between two doors. One door has their car, and the other has Ripper the Killer Beast. Wait, he looks familiar. There's so many steps to getting this car. It's almost like they weren't gonna get a car to begin with. Oh no. The family choose door 1, which is obviously the bad choice, and they get shoved into a dark, disgusting room with dead bodies and a terrifying beast lurking inside. Luckily for the family, they are saved by an actually good horror. The same one in part 1 that told the kids to get away. He helps them escape the wrath of Ripper. He introduces himself as Bleck, and he was supposed to be the game show host, but Wretch is a shady bastard and took it from him. Bleck tells him to follow the path and he'll be close behind. No, not him! I liked him! Oh, that's so sad. As Ripper, rips him apart, the family escape through the woods, with a herd of horrors chasing after them. The family try multiple times to hide and escape from the monsters, but all of their attempts are futile. No matter where they go, they are found. They somehow lose the horrors, but they find themselves in an area that is littered with stuff from other families who weren't lucky enough to escape Horrorland. And while they're distracted by all the stuff, the monsters find them. They run from the horrors until they reach the fence to the parking lot, which so conveniently has a perfect cutout hole for their family to crawl through. I don't know if I trust it. But the family do make their escape to the car. Okay, bro, that was so unnecessary. Why did you do that? They get inside the car and the horrors surround the car, jumping on the roof, banging on the windows, pulling the door handles, trying their best to get the family. And of course, their car won't start. Maybe if they had that new SUV, it would.
I love this car! So long, suckers!
Oh wait, there's a bomb on the bottom of their car. Oh, that can't be good. They're gonna die for sure. While their family makes their way out of Horrorland, this one guy thinks it's a great idea to stand in the middle of the road with a sign. Yep, that's exactly what I expected to happen. Finally, the family are safe and they can head back home. Except their dad doesn't have control of the car. Yeah, I might have been lying about the device on the bottom of the car. It's actually not a bomb, but it's a device that grants Wretch access to control the vehicle, and he purposefully dangles the car off of a cliff. And then we cut to a horror watching the show that we've been watching this whole episode. But he's a bit too bored and hates the human shows, so he turns it off to talk to his beautiful wife and eat a cockroach snack. And that's where the episode ends. Yes, that is the cliffhanger ending that they gave us. All right, listen guys, I'm gonna be honest with you. This episode is way funnier than I remember. As a kid, it was one of the scariest episodes in the series to me. And some of the parts in this episode are still pretty freaky. Like the mirror scene is still a little freaky to me. I think it's just trauma from a child. And it's probably the reason I am claustrophobic myself today. But on retrospect, I don't find the rest of the episode scary at all. Maybe because I am an adult. And I can see if you're scared of spiders and you find the coffin scene a little freaky, because that spider is front and center. Like you cannot look past it. And the vibes in the first episode are a bit strange. Multiple times they show cameras and horrors quietly watching the family as they just hang out and do their stuff. And stuff like that is enough to make a kid stay up at night, including me. And I have said before that Goosebumps episodes that involve the parents used to scare me even more than the ones that didn't. I think in my little kid mind, if an adult was scared, then that meant the situation was serious. And in this episode, the parents were definitely scared, especially the mom. She was a nervous wreck the whole time, except for when she thought she was gonna win a car. But yeah, that's probably why I thought this episode was so terrifying. But as an adult, I am now just catching all the really dumb and goofy stuff that they put inside the episode, and I do gotta say, it makes me love the episode even more, man. I mean, having the family stumble upon a cheesy prank game show made for a horror cable channel is so goofy and stupid and genius. I love it. They also sprinkled in stereotypes like the overly energetic and slightly annoying game show host, with his beautiful hostess, of course. And then we have the makeup artist, and I don't want to tackle that one right now. With their funny names like Halitosis, Wretch, Sniff, Bleck, it's awesome. The dude's name is Bleck, like bleh. It's so funny. I also have to shout out the guy behind the horrors. His name is Neil Crone, and he is the most underrated actor in all of Goosebumps. He played Wreck, Bleck, and the makeup artist, and he killed all 3 of the roles. He's also in the episode The Ghost Next Door as Mr. Chesney, and he was also in the Erie, Indiana, The Other Dimension show as Mr. Crawford. Like, this dude really has an insane career. I loved looking through his IMDb. He was even in the show Freaky Stories, which I briefly talked about in this video. You should definitely check this video out if you like my stuff. Trying new content, and I'm having fun with it. And of course, I've got to shout out the other horrors. We have Jason Hopley and Ron Stefnik. Jason is a pretty talented puppeteer, and he was also the blob monster in the episode, The Blob Monster That Ate Everybody. I couldn't have messed that name up anymore if I literally tried. What the hell was I talking about? And he was also in the episode The Shocker at Shock Street as this weird fucking dude. And Ron was a designer for the show. He made almost every monster you see in Goosebumps. So you can thank this guy for all the nightmares you had as a kid. He also appeared in the episode Deep Trouble as the piranha person. And before we move on to the differences that the book and the show have, I have to mention that Ripper in this episode was the same prop they used for Saber in my favorite episode, Welcome to Camp Nightmare. I noticed this as a kid and I was pretty excited when I saw my beloved Saber once again. It would have been cool if they kept his name Saber in the show just for like a little Easter egg for me, because I would have been like, yo! I would have loved that shit as a kid. And of course, there are a ton of differences from the book and the episode. There are a lot, and a lot of massive ones at that. The biggest one being that Clay isn't in the episode at all. They straight cut my guy out of the episode. Another one of them is them omitting the Doom Slide and the Bat Barn ride from the show. Honestly, I forgot about the Bat Barn myself. I am a bad Goosebumps YouTuber for that. But they do have a little Easter egg for the Doom Slide, so at least we have that. There was also a scene where their car explodes in the beginning of the book, and I kinda made a bomb joke to throw you guys off, but they actually copped out and decided to make it a remote control device. I guess the budget ran out on all the set details and they couldn't afford an explosion, but they could afford killing Slappy? I just love that scene. I'm gonna show that scene as many times as I can. I'm gonna fit it into like every Goosebumps video I make from now on. The book also didn't have the weird game show segment like the episode did, but one of the biggest differences was the endings to them both. In the book, the family escaped the horrors by pinching and killing some of them and taking a vehicle from the parking lot and escaping, only for them to get home and realize that they had a hitchhiker the whole time who gives them all free passes to Horrorland and tells them to come again. Very different from the TV show ending. We ended with this shit.
Who in the Monster Channel?
I am sick of these scary human shows. Ugh.
What was that? I'm honestly not too sure why they didn't do that in the episode. Maybe filming in another location was too expensive for them or something. I don't know. I feel like that one would have made more sense and it would have opened up for a sequel if they wanted to make one. And let me know any other differences I missed in the comments. I'm just pulling these from my memory, so I probably missed a bunch. And like I said earlier, this episode was almost nothing like the book, so. Now I do have to complain about something. The dad pisses me off so bad in this episode. He's so confident and wrong every time. I mean, it started right at the beginning when he said Zoo Gardens should be right here. Where, buddy? And multiple times throughout the episode, Miss Morris doesn't have a good feeling about something, and he just brushes her off for being too worrisome. I'm sure if I was like a bystander listening to them argue, he would pull this move on me. Women, am I right? Like, bro, listen to your wife, dog. She's right. But he's not the only thing to complain about. I do wish they had a bigger variety of monsters in this episode. Sure, we have the horrors and they're cool and there's different varieties of them, but where are the werewolves, the mummies, the vampires? Like I said earlier, the video game had better looking monsters and it came out a year before the episode. What happened to all the props from the game? Why couldn't you guys do something similar to that? But other than those two small little things, this episode is great. It's everything I want personally out of a Goosebumps episode. It's kind of scary, it's funny, and it's super memorable. And I just have a good time watching it. That's all I want. There's a reason this episode is recommended so much on this channel. And I personally think this episode still holds up pretty well. I mean, I was watching it with my friends and they were having fun watching it too. And we're all grown-ass men. But yeah, that's all I got for you today. I have a Patreon. The $5 members get bonus content plus videos a day early, maybe some pictures of my cats, also a Discord server, and your name right here on screen. And I want to thank a few of my members: Neon Ghost, Sabrina Marino, Paxton Hajek, Neon, Michelle Tolliver, and that one with Doggo. Thank you guys for supporting me directly. Like the video if you like the video. Thank you for watching the video all the way through. I appreciate you all, and peace.